that I would rather be here with than my big sister, and I'm so proud of us.
Love you. This experience exceeded the monetary price. Just getting to be here with him is priceless and worth, to me, a lot more.
This is it. As they say with cakes, don't drop it. Congratulations to Lenore and Jessica on their well-earned victory, and congratulations to all our wonderful teams. That's gonna do it for Crime Scene Kitchen Season 3. I'm Joel McHale. Good night.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
A superintendent who oversees 4 towns in Hancock County has been suspended by multiple school boards. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Devin Dagnall. The suspension comes after a teachers' union rendered a vote of no confidence for the superintendent. Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
The superintendent of School Union 76 has come under fire after teachers cast an overwhelming vote of no confidence in him as a leader.
All of us dreaded going into work because we didn't know what was going to happen that day.
Daniel Ross has been the superintendent since 2022. He oversees the Brooklyn School, Sedgwick Elementary, and the Deer Isle Stonington Elementary and High School. Last week, a Maine Education Association representative held a no confidence vote at all 4 schools, with only 4 teachers voting in favor of Ross's effectiveness as a leader.
By not supporting teachers, you're not supporting the students, and we really need to have someone that we can trust.
Multiple teaching staff members cited several reasons for the vote, including community concerns not being addressed and not being able to trust Ross to treat employees equitably.
The morale here in school has gotten increasingly worse since he started. There's been great amount of disrespect shown to staff, all members of staff.
According to the chairs of the Deer Isle Stonington and Sedgwick School Board, both voted unanimously at their latest meetings to suspend Ross from conducting business on their behalf.
My hope is that we can find a qualified, great, supportive superintendent who can lead us, who can bring us higher than where we are now.
We've been in contact with Ross, but he has not made any statements at this point. In studio, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news tonight, a drug trafficking investigation in Washington County landed 6 people in jail. 20-year-old Wancel Ledesma Pujols and 26-year-old Devoris Roberto de la Rosa Castillo of the Dominican Republic. 49-year-old Michelle Wright of Addison and 28-year-old Uraldis de los Santos Valenzuela of Massachusetts are all charged with aggravated trafficking. 60-year-old Adrian Batson and 55-year-old Brett Burke, also of Addison, are charged with unlawful trafficking of fentanyl. MDEA Commander Brandon Vafiades says 2 search warrants were executed simultaneously on the East Side Road in Addison on Wednesday. He says during the searches, more than 150 grams of fentanyl, more than 20 grams of cocaine base, 3 guns, and more than $10,000 in suspected drug proceeds were all recovered.
A woman in a wheelchair was killed after being struck by a vehicle yesterday in Camden. Camden police say 62-year-old Michelle Bishop was operating a motorized wheelchair on John Street a little after 8 a.m. when she was struck by a minivan. Police say life-saving measures were performed, but Bishop died from her injuries. According to Camden police, Michael Geary, 82-year-old Robert Spencer, was driving the vehicle, but his vision was obstructed by the sun. The incident is still under investigation.
Well, beginning next month, your paycheck will decrease slightly to help pay for Maine's paid family and medical leave program. The rules of the new program were finalized on Wednesday by the Maine Department of Labor. The program guarantees 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave for things like helping a sick relative or the birth of a child. The benefits don't start until May of 2026, but paycheck deductions begin on January 1st of 2025 to help raise funds for the program. Patrick Woodcock, the CEO of the Maine State Chamber of Commerce, says many businesses who already offer a private paid family and medical leave program are upset with how the new rules are being implemented.
Ultimately, we are concerned with the timeline. This is taking effect in a matter of weeks. For instance, we had asked to have businesses to have the ability to request an exemption, pursue a private paid family medical leave program that they're implementing today back in June. At this point, that won't be available until around April of this coming year.
Under the new rules, employers and employees will split a 1% tax on the employee's paycheck. For someone making $1,500, they will see their paycheck decrease by $7.50.
Earlier this week, a 34-year-old court order mandating oversight of Maine's mental health services was lifted. Now, mental health advocates are warning that more work still needs to be done. Our Augusta reporter, Corey Bouchard, has more.
Some folks think, oh, because this particular the court's no longer overseeing this and it gets dismissed, that means everything's fine. That is the furthest thing from the truth.
Mark Joyce, the managing attorney for Disability Rights Maine, is talking about the 34-year-old Am High consent decree. The decree was a settlement agreement for a class action lawsuit brought after several patients died at the Augusta Mental Health Institute. It required mental health services in Maine to be under special oversight by an officer of the court until certain benchmarks had been met. The current person in charge of that oversight was former Maine Supreme Court Justice Dan Wathen. According to Joyce, Wathen changed the original benchmarks to be less stringent so the state could pass them.
They had not been met as of 2024. Many had, but there were some that weren't.
The decree was dismissed on Tuesday. Joyce says there's more work to be done in order for mental health services in Maine to meet the proper standard of care.
The Constitution sets a floor, not a ceiling, right? So just because the state would be able to show it's above that floor, there's no way it shows that they're at the ceiling.
Joyce adds that since the decree was first formed, Maine has moved to a deinstitutionalized approach, heavily relying on over 170 contractors to provide services across the state. One thing he's pushing for is an independent third party to be able to handle how individuals accessing services interact with those contractors.
When an individual is not getting the service that they should be getting pursuant to that contract, they have no direct method to seek relief to get the service unless they go to the state to say, hey, I'm not getting the service. And that depends upon whatever administration is in power at the time.
Joyce says they're not pursuing any legal action with regards to the dismissal of the consent decree, but hopes state lawmakers craft legislation to address their issues. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
The Brewer Police Department is hiring, and some of their candidates may look a little different than the stereotypical rookie. Our Callie Warren has more.
We're likely going to be hiring at least a couple of inexperienced officers over the next few months.
Brewer's police department is currently facing some staffing changes. Brewer Police Chief Jason Moffitt says due to these challenges, their new recruits have different experiences than the typical fresh-out-of-school rookie.
Traditionally it would be, people getting out of the military, their early 20s or college, things like that. Lately, we have seen a little bit of a trend where, you might have somebody in their 40s looking for a different career, looking for a change, for example.
And that can make for a stronger police squad.
And I think that adds a tremendous amount of value to our agency and our capabilities when you have someone with that type of life experience,
Those hired still have to pass the same polygraph tests, background checks, and physical exams as before. While serving as a police officer may not currently be the top pick for those entering the workforce, Moffitt, who's been with Brewer Police for almost 25 years, says he has no regrets about his career choice.
And it actually feels pretty good when you can help someone out at the end of the day. And, that could be anything from solving a series of crimes like burglaries or thefts. Sometimes it might be helping someone change a tire or something like that. I mean, at the end of the day, there are opportunities where you can feel pretty good.
Would you do it over again?
Yes.
If you're interested in serving alongside Brewer's finest, visit our website at foxbangor.com for more details. In Brewer, Callie Warren, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
The Ellsworth Fire Department is dealing with a shortage of fire engines after a recent accident and other issues put them out of commission. Our David Ledford spoke with the city's fire chief to learn how they're dealing with the issue.
The Ellsworth Fire Department is heading into the winter season with several of their fire engines out of service.
Engine 2 was due to an accident here about a month ago. Significant damage during a weather event, and then the other engine is a mechanical issue.
Chief Scott Gillereau says Engine 2 could be out of service for 6 months or more. In the meantime, the department is making use of a reserve engine, and they still have a ladder truck and a tank truck at their disposal. They also have a loaner engine that is currently out of service but should be operational within a few weeks.
It hasn't impacted us operationally. The crews downstairs have been very adaptable with what we have for apparatus.
While the shortage has not impacted service yet, Gillereau says the department could be put in a tight spot if they need to deal with multiple calls at once.
If we have a second call that happens, or we have to request an additional piece of apparatus to the same incident, then it affects us there.
However, he assures residents that they will make use of mutual aid from other departments when necessary, and that they will always be there to answer your call.
We're capable of managing all our responses. There is no lack of ability by the Ellsworth Fire Department, and if they call 911, we are going to be there.
Gillereau says the department's aging fleet has been an issue for a while, and the city is trying to find the best way to replace them over time. In Ellsworth, David Ledford, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
After kind of a wet and dreary day, now we're feeling the temperatures plummet. So, definitely looking at, maybe some slick conditions overnight and, maybe a little caution in the morning.
Definitely want to take it slow and
Yeah.
easy. Give yourself plenty of time to get to where you need to go.
'Tis the season. Let's get a first check of our forecast.
Thank you, Beth. Our first weather tonight is brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. All right, so we still got lots of snow in the area, mixed with a little bit of rain just off the coast, but it's not affecting us here. Taking a closer look, we had some snow later on into the afternoon and evening hours, but now that it's kind of moved out of our area, but we can still see a few snow showers moving into the southwestern portion of the state just near Augusta. We can see for our high today, we got up to 38 degrees, but that was only for a brief few hours early on this morning. Look at the coastline, lots of low to mid 40s down there, and then temperatures just near freezing up north. Clayton Lake 32 and Presque Isle Holton right around 33 degrees for their high today. Going to overnight though, we're gonna have some cold air moving in. That's gonna drop us down into the low 20s with some mostly clear skies. Beth?
Chase, thank you. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Doug Banks has the second installment of Corrosion and Care and the Search for Solace.
Oh no! Son of a nutcracker. This is what I get for eating all those cookies. Hey, Roto-Rooter, I got a big clog for you. I'm stuck in the chimney. Again. Yep, I'm the clog. Any chance you could fa la la over here?
For all your holiday plumbing needs, Roto-Rooter can save the day.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust-proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Come home to the kitchen of your dreams. At Atlantic Designs, we redefine kitchen spaces, turning your dreams into reality. Our experienced designers ensure you get a stunning new kitchen while bringing function and style to every corner. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, we've got the perfect plan for you. Your dream kitchen is closer than you think. So contact Atlantic Designs today and start the process. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
Ashton Genty and Boise State look to punch their ticket to the college football playoffs against UNLV. The Mountain West Championship, Friday on Fox.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, we'll have the second installment in an in-depth series about the abuse endured by victims at an adult residential care facility. Plus, we'll hear from the Brewer Police Department on how they're changing their standards to fill policing positions. These stories plus that full forecast coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Last night, we introduced you to the story of a mother and her two sons who were diagnosed with autism when they were 3 years old. As the boys grew older, the search for a safe and sufficient service for them was a struggle for their mother until Lee Residential Care opened its doors for them.
But it was behind those very same doors where unspeakable abuse altered the course of their lives, and it is the centerpiece of our three-part series. Our Doug Banks has the story.
In part one, we told you about a mother finally finding hope after being reunited with her two sons and finding the services needed for them. As we share with you now, in the second installment of Corrosion and Care in the Search for Solace, the facility she thought would protect and nurture her sons was anything but.
I can't tell you the anxiety you feel when you don't know your children are safe.
In March of 2022, the Department of Health and Human Services says Adult Protective Services and law enforcement received a report of alleged abuse coming from inside Lee Residential Care, a social services program in Hamden providing residential group housing for disabled adults. Longsworth says she found out through a phone call from an assistant attorney general that her son, KR, was one of the two reported individuals abused by their caregivers.
I feel like I should have known this or something. I just was not prepared for what I was going to hear.
It was a pattern of abuse and harrowing behavior between 2019 and 2022 that court documents described as grotesque and pervasive. Court documents described one report during the Christmas season of 2021 when a direct service provider at Lee pressured KR to perform sexual activity on another victim for pizza. After a co-worker informed an administrative assistant in March of 2022 about the alleged abuse, 4 employees from Lee Residential Care were charged with multiple counts of endangering the welfare of a dependent person. Longsworth recalled seeing her son for the first time after learning of the abuse he suffered.
I just hugged him and I just said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you've been through all this. And I love you very much.
She says her and her son had a close relationship with Renee Dubois III, a direct service provider for KR.
I actually called up Renee and I said, Renee, I need you to be honest with me. Did anything happen to my son? And he said, no, I would never do that.
In October, Dubois pleaded guilty to 1 count of endangering the welfare of a dependent person and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Dubois was the second former employee to be sentenced to prison, following Zachary Connors back in August.
My biggest fear is that KR doesn't think he deserves, happiness and love. Like when he was in Florida, I was afraid that he thought I abandoned him or something. But here, and thinking, okay, my mom put me here, and then all of a sudden all these guys, and just hoping inside he doesn't think that, that he deserved to be treated like that. I worry that he thinks that.
And join us tomorrow night for the conclusion of this 3-part series. And we'll have more after the break.
Stay with us.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
In a small town like this, you gotta take care of each other, and that's really what it comes down to. Have a good evening. Mike's & Sons is a business my father started. When Matt and I were buying this store, the credit unions found a way to do it for us.
They don't look at us as a number.
Alicia Netta, Mike's & Sons.
We want to be able to run our business the way we feel is best for our customers.
We're not in this to make money. We're just trying to help everybody be what they want to be for the future.
If something is even remotely possible, they find a way to get it done. That's why we stick with the credit unions.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover-Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Browse our inventory online or in person. Whether it's a car, truck, or SUV, we can put you in the vehicle that is right for you. Sales, service, and parts. Rowell's Garage, doing business the right way every day.
A Mapleton company is feeding people's taste buds one bag at a time.
What I get the most joy out of is watching people eat my chips for the first time. The expressions on their faces just makes it all worth it.
We'll take you to Fox Family Chips, Monday on Fox 22, News at 10.
Dr. Larson was in a car accident. She has no recollection of the last 8 years.
Doc, series premiere, January 7th on Fox. Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
There's one number you need to know. It's called Joe.
Police in New York City have new clues in their search for a suspect who shot and killed the CEO of United Healthcare outside a Midtown hotel. The alleged murderer, however, is still on the loose during the busiest time of year in Manhattan. Fox's Connor Hansen has the story.
The NYPD now has a clear photo showing the face of the man they believe shot and killed Brian Thompson. Detectives are piecing together his movements before and after the brazen murder of the United Healthcare CEO outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Police searched a hostel about 3 miles uptown from the crime scene, where sources tell Fox News the suspect checked in by using cash and a fake ID.
That's crazy. I mean, I'm used to violence because I'm from Rio de Janeiro. There's a lot there. But like not that kind of like cold and meticulous and professional killings.
Some key evidence, shell casings at the scene reportedly with the words deny, defend, and depose inscribed on them. It's similar to the title of a book about insurance companies avoiding paying claims. The suspect was also caught on camera at a nearby Starbucks shortly before the shooting. Police say they found a used water bottle the suspect bought there and are processing it for evidence.
He made too many mistakes. A real hitman wouldn't have gone into a Starbucks knowing you're going to be captured on film. He would have probably shot the guy, somewhere more quiet, out of the public eye. So also the writing on the bullets means he was trying to make a statement.
There are reports Brian Thompson had received threats in the past. The local police department in Minnesota, where he lived, says there was a hoax bomb threat called in at his home hours after he was killed. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Israeli officials say another hostage deal with Hamas is possible after reaching a ceasefire deal with Hezbollah. It comes as the IDF expands its offensive in Gaza. Fox's Alex Hogan has more.
Israeli forces launching more airstrikes in southern Gaza overnight and killing a top Hamas commander in a humanitarian zone. Now there's a big effort to get another ceasefire in place. Sources telling Fox News President-elect Trump's incoming Middle East envoy traveled to the region for talks this week in a push to reach a hostage release deal before the inauguration.
We are hoping to get over the situation before the president comes to the office because we have priorities to stabilize the situation in Gaza. We have priorities in order to restore regional security.
Israeli officials are reportedly open to discussing a recent Egyptian proposal for an extended ceasefire, during which time hostages, including the elderly, children, and badly injured, would be released. On Thursday, Israel's foreign minister met with U.S. and European Union officials to discuss the conflict.
Israel is serious about reaching a hostage deal, and I hope we can do this and do it as soon as possible.
There is an urgency to get Hamas to the negotiating table after Israel reached a ceasefire with Hezbollah last week. Both sides are now accusing one another of violating that truce, though the Biden administration says it appears the deal is still holding.
I think fundamentally, both parties, that is to say Israel and Hezbollah through the Lebanese government, wanted and continue to want the ceasefire.
The Biden administration says any apparent violations will be addressed through the established channels. In Tel Aviv, Israel, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Meanwhile, a major human rights organization is the latest entity to accuse Israel of committing genocide in the Gaza Strip. Fox's Chanley Painter has the latest there.
Amidst the backdrop of blast and gunfire throughout the Gaza Strip comes a fresh round of accusations against Israel from one of the world's leading human rights organizations.
Israel has committed and is continuing to commit genocide against Palestinians.
Amnesty International releasing a new report Thursday in the Middle East, while officials continue calling for the release of hostages and denounce Hamas's October 7th attack last year. Leaders say Israel's actions against the militant group could, quote, not be justified by Hamas's deadly incursion.
Palestinians have been bombed, starved, repeatedly displaced. Israel's actions have wiped out entire multi-generational families.
The group also stating Israeli allies, including the United States, could be complicit in genocide, calling for arms shipments to Israel to stop.
For over a year, Israel has convinced many of its allies that its effort to annihilate Gaza is a legitimate conduct.
The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry reports the death toll is more than 44,000. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has previously rejected other genocide allegations, most notably as Israel continues challenging similar claims in the International Court of Justice.
We live in tense and very, very difficult conditions. Garbage, crowding, mosquitoes.
Just recently, an IDF airstrike on a Palestinian camp in southern Gaza killed at least 21 people Wednesday. I'm Chanley Painter, Fox News.
French President Emmanuel Macron is trying to bring his country together as a political crisis sends the current government packing. He is vowing to stay in office until the end of his term, one day after a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister and the cabinet by Parliament. Fox's Stephanie Bennett has more from London.
We can't allow ourselves to be divided or to do nothing.
In a defiant address to the nation tonight, France's President Emmanuel Macron is appealing for unity.
That's why I'll name a prime minister in the coming days. I will ask them to form a government in the general interest, representing all the political parties who can participate in it, or at least who agree not to bring it down.
And blaming the irresponsible hard left and hard right for choosing chaos after a vote of no confidence led to Prime Minister Michel Barnier's resignation, marking the first time a French government has been toppled in more than 60 years.
I can tell you that it will remain an honor for me to have served France and the French with dignity.
Now, for the second time since his party's losses in July's legislative elections, President Macron must find a replacement capable of leading a minority government in a parliament where no party holds a majority. Under the French Constitution, a new election is not an option until July at the earliest. But Macron is keen to appoint a successor quickly, ideally before Saturday's ceremony to reopen the Notre Dame Cathedral, where President-elect Trump will also be in attendance. France has both a prime minister and president, making Macron in control of foreign policy and defense, while the prime minister is in control of domestic policy and runs day-to-day governing. But for now, the political turmoil continues, as many opposition politicians want Macron to resign too, something he has insisted is off the table.
The mandate you democratically gave me is a 5-year mandate, and I will carry it out fully until the end.
Barnier and his government are set to stay until a new government has been formed, but names for a new prime minister are already swirling. In London, Stephanie Bennett,
Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, representatives of U.S. Cellular stopped by Penquist in Bangor to spread some holiday cheer.
And in sports, the Maine men's hoops team is off to a hot start, and they've got a few challenges left before conference play. We'll have that story coming up.
Welcome to the real Full Monty!
6 celebrities will bear it all for a great cause. The Real Full Monty, Monday, only on Fox.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Hey, babe, what's a 5-letter word that starts with PH and ends with NE? Clue is get 4 of these for free with 4 lines for $90 a month at US Cellular.
James, have you tried the 4 free phone flakes? I love these free phone flakes.
Hey, Dad, 4 free phones.
Each serving has 4 free phones.
4 free phones?
Thanks.
Oh.
They're right behind me, aren't they? Choose 4 free phones and 4 lines for $90 a month. No trade-in needed. US Cellular.
Come stop by Triple S Tack Shop, 315 Hamden Road, Carmel, for quality clothing and equestrian gear.
Ye Olde General, located in Carmel, has everything you could ever need. Whether it be kerosene, regular or ethanol-free gasoline, wood pellets, a fresh cooked pizza, or fried food, they've got you covered. Looking to get a stiff drink after work? Ye Olde General is an agency liquor store with a great selection of alcohol. Ye Olde General can help with your next home project, carrying carpentry supplies from hammers and nails to specialty nuts and bolts. They have what you need to get the job done. Stop by Ye Olde General today. If you don't think they'll have it, they probably do.
Did you know that starting May 7th, 2025, the federal government will begin enforcing Real ID? That means you will need a Real ID, passport, or equivalent to fly domestically or enter certain federal facilities. As you plan business travel or your dream vacation next summer, don't wait. Make an appointment online at the BMV today. We're here to help. Brought to you by this station, Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Secretary of State.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are on Capitol Hill to discuss their ideas to slash wasteful government spending. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the details.
A media frenzy on Capitol Hill Thursday for Trump allies Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. They're heading up the president-elect's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and they're meeting with lawmakers to discuss plans for cutting back government spending.
How do you convince people who don't want to cut spending to cut spending?
Cutting waste up here is kind of like going to heaven. You know, everybody wants to do it, but nobody's quite ready to make the trip. Okay? Will this time be different? I hope so.
Iowa Senator Joni Ernst is the chair of the Senate DOGE caucus. She's already shared her plan with Musk and Ramaswamy, which she says will save the federal government $2 trillion. Part of that includes ending remote work or offloading empty buildings.
If we're not using the space, we need to get rid of it. And federal employees, you need to earn the right to telework.
DOGE has bipartisan support on the Hill, but at least one House Democrat says the concept is unconstitutional.
The Constitution does not permit the president to simply avoid what the Congress has done. That power of the purse is with the legislative branch, not the president.
There are already some roadblocks for the DOGE team seeking to trim the federal workforce. Thousands of Social Security workers recently signed a new union contract ensuring telework through 2029, a deal that would be extremely difficult for Trump to overturn. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. is now #1 in marijuana consumption. Recreational pot is legal in the district, but still against federal law. Fox's Mike Emanuel reports.
A new study reveals 33% of adults in Washington, D.C. use marijuana. The District of Columbia is second only to Vermont in consumption. That's raising questions here and nationwide about the incoming Trump administration's marijuana policy. Then candidate Trump posted on his Truth Social, "As president, we will continue to focus on research to unlock the medical uses of marijuana to a Schedule III drug and work with Congress to pass common sense laws." Vice President-elect J.D. Vance favors a libertarian approach to the issue.
My attitude on this stuff is kind of live and let live. Like, keep it in your home. I don't like smelling it when I take my kids to the park, right?
Health and Human Services nominee Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has expressed support for legalization and taxing it at the federal level. But incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune is part of a group of GOP senators that has opposed the Biden administration's efforts to lower the classification of marijuana. One expert suggests a change in classification would actually bring added protection.
What moving it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 does allow is it allows federal agencies like the FDA, USDA to step in and regulate these products, which it currently cannot touch.
In terms of ballot initiatives in this past election, Nebraska passed a legalized medical marijuana measure. But initiatives to legalize recreational marijuana failed in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Florida.
It's one big weed company has spent $100 million. And they wrote the amendment to benefit them, not to benefit the people of Florida. So this is not about freedom because they don't let you grow your own weed.
President-elect Trump is calling on state legislatures to responsibly create marijuana laws that prohibit the use of it in public spaces. But he maintains someone should not be a criminal in Florida or other restrictive states when marijuana is legal in 24 states and here in D.C. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
And coming up, we have our full 5-day forecast.
Stay with us.
Throughout the month of November into the beginning of December, it has been pretty cloudy so far, but going into this weekend, we have some changes coming. Are we going to still see some clouds out there, or are we going to have a little bit of break and see some sunshine? I'll have the answers coming right up.
New or used? What's your preference? If you prefer to buy used, it's smart to buy a Toyota certified used vehicle from Down East. Here's why. All vehicles go through a rigorous 160-point inspection. They come with comprehensive and powertrain warranties, a Carfax history report, and 7 years of roadside assistance. Plus, qualified buyers get low new car financing rates. It's true, the best new cars do make the best used cars. For Toyota certified used vehicles, all roads lead to Down East on Wilson Street in Brewer.
When you need tires, no matter the size, Bangor Tire will service your ride and get you back on the road quick and safely. Master mechanics in the consumer division will repair your brakes, exhaust, front-end alignments, and much more. Truckers, take exit 180 from I-95 for your new tires or flat repair with minimal wait time. Always free shuttle and delivery of your car in the greater Bangor area. Take Littlefield Avenue to 514 Colebrook Road, Herman, right beside Dysart. BangorTire.com.
We're more than just a tire store.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but the Garcia's windows and patio doors were. So were the Jacksons and the Smiths. Yours could be next. Call Renewal by Anderson for fast, easy, and precise window replacement. Big savings, too. For a limited time, get these huge savings and special financing. Take the first step. Contact us for the best home improvement experience you'll ever have. Call now for a free consultation or visit us online. Renewal by Anderson.
Get ready for the holiday season. The Rotary Club of Bangor is excited to present the annual Festival of Lights Parade. This dazzling event lights up downtown Bangor and brings joy to thousands, featuring marching bands, small and large floats, dancers, and other performing groups. And don't miss the grand finale as Santa himself arrives to spread holiday cheer. Join us Saturday, December 7th, starting at 4:30 p.m. Let's kick off the season together at the Festival of Lights Parade.
Welcome back, everybody. Our main weather tonight is brought to you by Refine Contractors. Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry repairs, and commercial facilities management. Give them a call today. Rise with Refine. All right, take a look at those highs for today. In the upper 30s here in town and along the coast, lots of areas in those low to mid 40s is what we saw. And that's where a lot of that rain fell early on this morning. And we saw some areas with more snow where temperatures were close to the freezing. Clayton Lake right around 32, Presque Isle right around 33. Same with Holton. All right, so we can see for tonight, though, we're having some colder air moving in. That's going to drop us down into the low 20s for tonight, showing right around 21 degrees here in town, 22 in Wesley. Still showing those mid 20s in Deer Isle, but to the west and to the north is where those areas are going to be in the mid to upper teens for tonight. So if you're going to be outside, make sure you bundle up. For tomorrow, the graphs are showing it's not going to get much warmer, but we're actually going to see some mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. So that should bump our high to right around the upper 20s for tomorrow. We can think of the same for Deer Isle, maybe pushing right around the low 30s, and then up north, some areas should be right around the low 20s as well. All right, so as we can see, our average this time of year is 38 degrees. We're going to be below that throughout this week, or throughout this weekend. Saturday, a high of only 23 degrees. It's going to be bitter cold out there. Sunday, 30, and we're going to see a slight warm up coming in. Look at Wednesday, high of only high right around 45 degrees, so that's going to be well above average. And then we're going to get closer to average then, though, by next week. Thursday, a high of only 33 degrees. That must be some cold air moving in after we get another system, which will probably bring a rain and snow mix. But wind speeds out there tonight are going to be strong going into tomorrow morning as well. 34-mile-per-hour gusts right around 8 a.m., 31 here in town, and many areas above 30-mile-per-hour gusts for tomorrow during those early morning hours, and that's going to last until right around the afternoon. Still right around 30 miles per hour gusts here in town and 34 by the coast, and that's where around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock is where they're going to peak, and then going throughout the hours into the evening, that is when those winds will start to die down, but still be pretty breezy. All right, so out there right now, we can see we were dealing with some snow earlier on this afternoon into the evening, but that has now moved out of our area to the northeast. But we can see there's still some snow that's able to pass through into the southwestern portions of the state, but that may trickle away due to some dry air moving in. But for tomorrow, early on in the morning, we're going to see where our lows are heading right around the low 20s. We're going to have some clear skies here in town while that cloud cover still hangs around up north. But as we continue on into the afternoon, looks like most of us are going to see a break from the clouds, and we're going to see some mostly sunny skies. So the sun is going to come out. That should warm our temperatures into the upper 20s for tomorrow. As we continue on going into the weekend, Saturday night, that's when we'll have some more increasing cloud cover, and that's when we're supposed to see another system coming in, bringing some snow on Sunday. But we can see for tonight, though, low 22 degrees, decreasing cloud cover out there, and we already saw those snow showers. Winds still pretty strong. We can see for tomorrow, high of 28 degrees with those mostly sunny skies, but it's going to be windy tomorrow. By the afternoon, we can see some gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Taking a look at our extended forecast, we can see colder temperatures this weekend on Saturday. We're warming up those Sunday with a chance for snow, and then Monday and the Tuesday, we're going to see temperatures warming into the upper 30s and the low 40s. Beth?
Kind of enjoy the Christmas lights around the 5-day
Very
forecast.
festive.
It makes those overnight lows just feel a little more festive.
Yes, it's still frigid, though.
Still frigid. Alrighty then.
All right, sports is next with Tyler Cruz.
Now you can get a great deal at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Make your next getaway your best one yet. Drive away now in one of our most popular models with 0% APR and 0 payments for 90 days. Only during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
Are you looking to have some fun, including soaring on Skyrider, the ultimate indoor zip line? Well, come over to Urban Air, Bangor's #1 birthday party destination, located at the Airport Mall. Urban Air has gravity-defying attractions for all ages, including our Warrior Course, trampolines, enormous arcade section, and climbing walls. Call us today to schedule your birthday party. And don't forget, we have endless play memberships available as well. Urban Air, let them fly.
Santa Claus is coming to town, and he's making special stops here at ABC 7 and Fox 22's morning show before the big night. Starting in December, Santa will be here reading your children's emails and letters. Have your kids send their message to Santa by emailing santa@wvii.com or by sending it to our mailing address at 371 Target Industrial Circle in Bangor. And make sure to watch Good Morning Maine on ABC 7 and Fox 22 to see what Santa has to say.
Now you can get a great deal at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Make your next getaway your best one yet. Drive away now in one of our most popular models with 0% APR and 0 payments for 90 days. Only during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Tonight's sports is brought to you by Hamlin's Marine, located in Hamden and Waterville, celebrating 40 years, serving all of eastern and central Maine.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We'll start with some hoop. Maine men's basketball is on fire ahead of their Sunday matinee against Fordham University. The Black Bears have won 4 of their last 5, beating the likes of Navy, Elon, and Holy Cross. They are currently ranked 148th in the NCAA Division I net rankings. That is currently the second best rank of any America East team. Bryant is the only one ahead of them. Maine will have another challenging stretch of games heading into the new year and conference play, starting with that trip to Fordham on Sunday at noon. And despite a second straight season with an impressive start, the Black Bears say they still have everything to prove.
I mean, if you look around the gym now, you see guys getting shots up before, after practice. You know, we know that we haven't really done much, you know, as a team, and, you know, what we're chasing is a conference championship. So we come in, you know, with the mindset that try and get better every day, you know, knowing that that's our goal.
It's just got to be a growth mentality. You just can't get complacent or happy with where you're at right now. These next 5 games are a really tough stretch for us. That's how our schedule's been all year. It's great 50-50 test for us. If you play well, you got a chance to win. If you don't play well, you're going to get beat. So we're going to take it one game at a time, starting here with Fordham on Sunday.
Maine is getting some help from transfer Chris Mantis, who came to Orono by the way of Appalachian State. Mantis is averaging 7.5 points per game this season, including a 15-point showing last time out. The grad student from App State is shooting 35% from 3. That is something this Maine team has definitely been missing.
All the guys love him, really good personality, and he works really hard, and his skill set is exactly what we needed. And I think you're just kind of seeing him scratch the surface right now. I think his best basketball is still ahead of him, which is an exciting thing for him and for us as a group.
You know, I mean, I just want to thank Coach Markwood for giving me the opportunity and, you know, hitting me out of the portal right away, and just getting connected with the guys from day one. On my visit, they were great, so I thought this was always going to be home.
Mantis is second on the team in three-point shooting behind A.J. Lopez. Let's stay with some basketball now. The ACC-SEC Challenge this week in college hoops providing a lot of fun matchups, and Wednesday night was no different, with Cooper Flagg and Duke taking on the second-ranked team in the nation from Auburn. And it was another terrific showing for the 17-year-old freshman from Newport, Maine. Flagg with 22 points and 11 rebounds to go along with 4 assists, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. He helped Duke defeat the number 2 Tigers 84-78 in a real close back-and-forth battle. Coop led the Blue Devils in all 5 categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, becoming the first freshman in 25 years to do that against a top 5 team. And in 4 games against ranked teams this year, Coop is now averaging over 21 points, over 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. Pretty good numbers against the best of the best. Staying on the court for one last time for the Thursday night soft opening of the MPA basketball season. More action Friday, but we did have one big one up at Mackenzie Gym. It's a rematch of the Class B North Finals from this past February. Eagles traveling to Old Town to take on the Coyotes. We'll pick it up 6-0 Coyotes, and Karina Dumont feeds Olivia Ketch, who gets the bucket and the foul to add to the Coyotes' lead. Shortly after, Taylor Loring finds Elizabeth Magoon, who cashes in on the floater, and Old Town starts the game on an 11-0 run. However, Ellsworth would come climbing back. Lily Bean would cash in a 3. That gets the Eagles on the board. Later on, Abby Raydell finds Bean in the corner. She eventually gets it to drop for another 3 to carve into that lead, and then it was Raydell's turn to get in on the fun. She takes a corner 3 and buries it. Ellsworth climbs all the way back. They win 48-43. Over to the ice now. Big weekend for Maine hockey. They look for their 4th and 5th straight victories when they host Stonehill at the Alfond on Saturday and Sunday. And when Maine welcomes the Skyhawks to Orono, it will be a very familiar venue for Stonehill's goalie. Maine graduate Connor Androlowicz has been in net all year for the Skyhawks, now playing in his 5th year of eligibility. Androlowicz transferred out of Maine after graduation last season. He played behind 2 great goalies last year in Victor Osman and Albin Boya. He has started 14 games this year for the Skyhawks. He has 6 wins and 1 shutout victory, and for whatever reason, he is actually excited to be a visiting goalie at Alfond Arena, and I don't think I have ever heard that before.
It's going to be hostile. It's going to be hostile, but I love it. But I think it's going to be great, you know? Like, it'll be cool to be on the other side of it.
He knows this place well. He knows our team well, so he's going to have an insight of you know, what we're trying to do, obviously, and he's playing great. So it's great to see him get an opportunity, and this is going to be a fun thing for him, and he's going to look to come in here and take it to his old team.
Androlowicz also says he's looking forward to seeing all the guys he built relationships with the last 4 years in Orono. Game 1 begins at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Wishing him some luck. That is all the time we have for sports. We will be right back after the break.
Maine's largest network of parts has holiday deals for everyone. Whether you know what you want or just need a little help, Coastal Auto Parts has everything you need to find the perfect gift. From Black Friday through December 16th, save on deals for the entire family. Purchase an M18 battery 2-pack and get one of 4 Milwaukee items for free. And keep warm and in style with Milwaukee's heated gear for any occasion. Don't forget to team up with a Maine family that cares and keep Maine vets warm when you purchase a Maine Veterans Project logo at any of their 30 locations.
Happy holidays from the Harvey RV and Marine family. Wishing you joy, adventure, and cherished moments this holiday season. Happy holidays from Twin City Tint. Thank you for trusting us. We appreciate your business. Happy holidays from Electrify Maine, Eastern and Central Maine's trusted electrician.
Oh no! Son of a nutcracker. This is what I get for eating all those cookies. Hey, Roto-Rooter, I got a big clog for you. I'm stuck in the chimney. Again. Yep, I'm the clog. Any chance you could fa-la-la over here?
For all your holiday plumbing needs, Roto-Rooter can save the day.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Hammond Lumber Company appreciates the communities that have supported Hammond's prosperity and growth throughout the year. And the Hammond team is grateful for the opportunity to give back by supporting local causes that sustain strong, vibrant communities throughout Maine and New Hampshire. Hammond recognizes that they could not do this without your support. Thank you from everyone at Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
No pressure, but this is our last start.
Feels like pressure.
Were you satisfied with the service?
An all-new season of Animal Control premieres Thursday, January 2nd, followed by the series premiere of Going Dutch.
Hey! We walk the giraffes on Tuesday!
On Fox.
Special Forces World's Toughest Test premieres January 8th on Fox.
Well, the holiday season is sparking joy as millions take part in the annual tradition of setting up a Christmas tree. But the spectacle carries a lot of significance. Dr. Troy Bickham, a history professor at Texas A&M University, breaks down the origins of this wintertime staple.
It's that time of year again as millions of people deck the halls and set up their Christmas trees. But as the ornaments and tinsels start to flow, have you ever wondered about the origins of the holiday's iconic household centerpiece? For starters, historians say evergreens are highly symbolic.
They represent life throughout the winter and the hope that life is going to return.
Many early civilizations even used evergreen trees for various celebrations.
We know the Egyptians did it. We know that the Romans did it with their celebration of Saturnalia, which fell in December. The ancient Germans did it with the Christmas tree. They actually hung them upside down in their roofs.
It wasn't until the 19th century, though, when the Christmas tree tradition gained widespread cultural significance. It got a helping hand from the late Queen Victoria of England.
Victoria married a German prince. And to celebrate and make her husband feel a little bit more at home one Christmas, they put out a public Christmas tree and invited the press to come and see them decorating it. Literally overnight, everyone in England who found out about this wanted to put up their own Christmas tree.
This also helped the tradition take off in America. The onset of the Great Depression even helped encourage public Christmas tree displays.
The Christmas tree that sits in front of the White House or Rockefeller Plaza in New York, and that was seen as like the community's Christmas tree for the fact that most people, or a lot of people, couldn't afford to have their own.
Historians say these trees are now such a popular display, you can even find them in regions that don't primarily celebrate Christmas, serving as a symbol of light. I'm Chanley Painter, Fox News.
In other news, you'll be paying less for a mortgage this week. The average rate of a 30-year mortgage easing again and slipping to 6.69% for its lowest level since late October. According to mortgage buyer Freddie Mac, mortgage applications for home purchases rose 6% last week. It was the fourth straight week of gains, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association.
Well, Amazon is facing a lawsuit for allegedly preventing faster delivery times to certain customers. The lawsuit from the District of Columbia's Attorney General claims the company secretly slowed down Prime deliveries to 2 predominantly black neighborhoods while still charging members in the area. The lawsuit says Amazon imposed the exclusion without notifying members in 2022. The Attorney General says the company has the right to make operational changes, but it cannot make them in secret to its customers. Amazon says the change was made for driver safety and the discrimination claims are false.
Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center is offering a way to celebrate and remember loved ones during the holidays. Lights of Life is a program where individuals purchase lights to illuminate Northern Light Cancer Care's tree and brewer to honor loved ones. Earlier this evening, the medical center held a special tree lighting ceremony.
The community has been able to select a light on the tree, and in doing so, their loved one is remembered throughout the holiday season. We acknowledge their experience with cancer tonight, and then through their generous giving, we're able to continue the great patient care that we know that our patients need and deserve.
Lights will be available for purchase through December, and the names of the honorees will be displayed throughout the month of January. For more information, call the Northern Light Health Foundation at 207-973-9530.
Well, U.S. Cellular representatives stopped by Penquist in Bangor today to donate $5,000 worth of holiday presents. From science kits to bedding sets, the gifts were delivered to Penquist to help support its Community Kids program. Today's present delivery is part of U.S. Cellular's Gift of Connection program.
They'll wake up on Christmas morning, they'll have a gift, parents will be able to give them, they're building connections, making memories, and that's really, really special.
We also have donations locally in our stores for this program, so if this is something that you feel passionate about, please stop in our U.S. Cellular stores. We have donation bins.
Well, according to Burbine, Penquist is one of the 50 nonprofits across the country that U.S. Cellular is donating gifts to this holiday season. So a very nice gesture there. I feel like everybody needs to just kind of step up and chip in and do what we have to make sure that everybody can enjoy a little holiday cheer
Absolutely.
come Christmas morning.
'Tis the season, and make sure just everybody has something to open
Little something.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Especially when you're young like that. It means so much. It
Yeah.
means the world. It really does.
Yeah, you like to see the spark in their eye and the excitement.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, well that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great night.
See you later.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station ABC7 right now for ABC7 News at 11.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change.
Billy Eichner stops by.
This is ABC7 News at 11.
A superintendent